students, welcome to our critique, the digital photography critique of bokeh photography. And for those of you who are using the phone camera, the camera tricks that you learned in the video tutorial. The first thing that you need to do is open your critique quiz in another window. You're going to take the quiz as you watch this video and complete the critique. Just a quick reminder, don't forget to post your artworks on your blog. So as you're taking, so if you have other classes besides photography, you don't have to have separate blogs, just one blog because it's a portfolio of all of your artwork. So if you're doing digital art as well as fine art, in addition to photography, you can just post all of your artwork, and you can also post any artwork that you're doing outside of school or you've done in the past. Here's just an agenda of what we're going to do. We'll announce the Week 2 assignment winners. We'll cover the Utah State Standards for Visual Arts. We'll talk about what a critique is, and then we'll do the critique. After that, you'll take the critique quiz. Well, during that, you'll take the critique quiz, right? Pause this video as you need to, and vote for a winner when it's all said and done. So the first thing I want to do is announce the winner of the Week 2 Portrait, Landscape, and Street Photography assignment. So here we go. The first category I'm going to cover is portrait photography. So these are some runners-up of what I would consider to be portrait photography. I love this picture, this portrait of these cute little dogs playing in the grass. And this is an amazing portrait. The texture in the background is awesome. I love the line that leads down the wall to the cat's head, and just the texture of the fur juxtaposed against the texture of the cement is amazing. This is an awesome portrait. I love the red and black. And here's another great portrait that I received. Some students went to concerts that week. How fun. The next category was landscape photography, and this is an incredible landscape photograph, really, because of all of the diagonals. Diagonal lines imply movement, and these diagonals are just leading the eye, zipping it through the image. Great use of line in that photograph. This is a really fun landscape photography because it begs the question, just like, why did the chicken cross the road? Why did the photographer cross the road? And the next category is street photography. And although this is not a street scene, it's in someone's backyard, it really embraces the character of a street photograph. The subject is completely unaware that somebody is watching her, and she is just doing her raking, and it's kind of fun because we're eavesdropping on her. And if she's watching this video right now, she's probably embarrassed, but this is a really good street photograph photo. And this one right here as well, the person who took this photograph said that this biker was not aware, but afterwards she did ask permission to submit it. I like this photograph because everybody in there is just ordinary, doing their thing. I love the sway here. Whoops, forget when I touch that. I love the sway. Look at this guy's shirt. I mean, everybody's just doing their thing. Nobody realizes that they're being photographed. And the character of this cute little street scene, I'm imagining Park City. Silly Sundays or something, is that what it's called? Yeah, it's just got a lot of character. The texture of the buildings and the street, it's nice. I love this for a street photograph because it embraces like the nature of society within chickens. And you know, funny thing is they all look like they're pretty aware that their picture is being taken, but they all have unique little curious looks on their faces. It's just adorable. Love that picture. And then subject photography is not something that we had discussed, but I did notice students doing a lot of it. So subject pictures to create emphasis on one subject. So pretty cool. All right, so now we are finally going to get to the winner. This is who you guys voted for. So the winner is, drumroll please. Congratulations, Winji. Taken by the waves. So this student actually was out of town. I even double checked. So good job. The students really liked this picture. I wonder why. Probably because they wish they were there with you. So let's talk about the Utah Visual Arts Standards. The first standard is making. So you guys are exploring, understanding, and refining techniques and processes through this media of photography. And you are pushing yourself to use settings that you didn't know existed, or you saw them but didn't know what they were for. If you don't have a camera with those settings and you're using a phone camera, you're learning how you can use different techniques to get different effects that you didn't know about. So you're pushing yourself, you're pushing your edge in this class. If you're not, then you're not being successful as an artist, okay? And you are using those art elements and principles, whether you know it or not. Today we are doing Standard 2, Perceiving, and that's where you're doing that critiquing and evaluating piece. And Standard 3 is Expressing, creating meaning in visual art. And I think that a lot of students in this assignment found meaning in the simplest things. Like, I had one student who told me that they did not like street photography, and then all of a sudden they went out and started shooting street photography and fell in love with it because they found a deeper meaning in it that before they hadn't appreciated when they actually went out and did it themselves. So that is why I had you explore those 3 different areas, because you never know when you go out and do something that's not what you want to be doing, uncomfortable, outside your comfort zone, you might end up finding out that you actually like something. Imagine that. And then next we have contextualizing. And so this is when you are making connections with different subject areas like science, math, history, or periods in history, periods in your life, states of mind that you're in, just creating a deeper context within your artwork. So a critique is not using words like ugly or pretty, if you remember, or like or don't like. That doesn't mean that as a human being you aren't going to make those assessments. Of course you will. That's just natural. But what I'm asking you to do is to step back from that and try not to use that frame of judgment to analyze artworks. Instead, go through the 4-step critique process. So a critique is a 4-step process. Description is just, what do you see? What is the medium? For these, it's a photograph, but you can go even further into that and say it's a colored photograph, it's a black and white photograph, it's a photograph that incorporates the bokeh technique. I know they call it bokeh, and I just, for some reason, I'm just not in love with that pronunciation. I like bokeh, but it is bokeh probably more predominantly known. Analysis. What elements and principles of design are used? So that's an important step in it, but you have to know what those are and get used to and familiar with them so that you can talk about them and think about them. Interpretation. What's the message? So I'm always looking at things and trying to think about what the artist intended for us to get out of it. And evaluation. So in this example, did the artist successfully take a bokeh photo? Did the artist use his or her cell phone camera in a new and interesting way? Did the artist follow the assignment directions? So those are ways that you can evaluate the artist, whether they were successful. Another way to evaluate the artist is to ask the question, did the artist take something ordinary and make something extraordinary out of it? So I just grabbed one of the images images. It was actually the first image that I looked at when I opened up this Dropbox, and I was astounded. I was like, whoa, blown away. What elements of art are illustrated in this photo? So some of you were wondering, elements of art and elements of design are used interchangeably. So they are the same thing. The root here is elements. So elements are basically the building blocks, right? So line, shape, space, value, texture, color, and form are the elements or building blocks of all art. And what principles of design are illustrated in this photo? So principles of design mean that we take those elements and we put them together and arrange them so that they create patterns or contrasts, emphasis, balance, proportion, harmony, or rhythm. So let's look at that first step in the critique process, description, asking what do you see? For example, you might see a color photograph of a precious stone sitting on the edge of a surface. It's pretty simple, right? It's just a description of what you see. But when we get into the analysis, then we start asking questions like, what elements of art are used? Well, one of the elements used is line. We see a diagonal line here. A diagonal line leads the eye through the diamond to the blurred lights in the background. We also see the element of space being used. This precious jewel is centered in the middle of the space, and the space around it is blurred. Texture. The jewel is sharply focused, so you can see the cuts in the stone and the shine of the light refracting within and also around it. What principles of design are used? So going to the principles of design. Emphasis is used here. The emphasis is on the stone. Why? Because it's the only subject in this photograph that is sharply focused, so that draws our attention to it. Balance. The stone is sitting on the edge of a surface, suggesting that the slightest movement could cause it to fall. So there is a little touch of instability there, but its central point in the image creates balance nonetheless. Rhythm. So diagonal lines create movement. We can see that there's this diagonal line on the surface and this implied diagonal line here where this contrasting dark and light background meet. And those two lines converge at a point in the back. These lines basically are acting in that linear perspective fashion that leads the viewer's eye to the soft lights in the background. Interpretation. So what's the message? Well, for me, the message is just simple elegance and sophistication. It's rich and opulent. And that's it. Like, that's all it's saying to me. Evaluation. Did the artist successfully use the aperture settings to create a bokeh effect where the background is blurred, making the ordinary subject look extraordinary? Absolutely. And that's what's so awesome about that bokeh effect, is that it does take an ordinary stone and makes it look extraordinary. Mission accomplished. Is the background of the bokeh photo the right composition to really emphasize the main subject? Absolutely. Part of the reason is because of that dark background right here, right along the edge of it. Now, if there had been all this light behind it, who knows how that would have impacted the image, but just the composition is just perfect to bring emphasis exactly where it should be. If using a phone camera, did the artist explore the tricks illustrated in the video to make something ordinary look extraordinary? So there were some tricks that the students who had phone cameras could have learned, and so you'll be looking to see, looking for evidence of that in the critique. What step of the critique process simply describes the medium, the subject matter, and what is seen? The description. What step of the critique process describes the use of texture, lines, and balance in the artwork? That's the analysis. What step in the critique process takes a deeper look at the meaning behind the photograph? That's interpretation. And what step of the critique process assesses whether the artist successfully made the ordinary seem extraordinary? That's evaluation. So let's go ahead and critique. And as you critique, I want you to take time to think about how each photograph reflects the elements of art and principles of design. what did each artist do that was interesting and unique compared to the others? And as you do this, grab a piece of paper and keep track of your favorites. So write the numbers down of your favorites, and then later when you go into that survey to vote for a winner, there's a slideshow in there. You can refer to that slideshow to go back and review your favorites and pick the one that you want to enter as the winner. Okay, so is everybody ready?
I love the colorful clothes she wears and the way the sunlight plays upon her head. She wears and the way the sunlight plays upon her head.
right. Well, I hope that you enjoyed the submissions for this critique. And just a couple more things to go over. Read the comments in your grade book, okay? Make sure that if you don't get a perfect score that you read that feedback and make any improvements or refinements necessary and resubmit for full credit. And that also goes for tests and quizzes as well. You can always retake your tests and quizzes, just go back in and take it again. You'll get the highest score. Come see me in the classroom for help. Actually, these hours have changed. My apologies. This should say Monday through Thursday, 12 to 1, but this should just say Tuesday and Wednesday now, 3 to 4. Sorry, I didn't catch that. It needs to be updated. Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 to 4, and then the Friday blog spot and help hour is still available 1:30 to 2:30. No longer doing that 12 o'clock critique class since I've got that staff meeting and it's just becoming too overwhelming to try to organize everything. So that concludes our critique. You can hopefully finish up that critique quiz and vote for a winner. Hopefully you wrote down some numbers of your favorites and you can use that slideshow that's in that survey folder to go back and view those again and decide which one you like the best. And have a great week.